Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wise Decision Maker Show, where we help you make the wisest and most profitable decisions. My name is Dr. Gleb Tsipursky. I'm the CEO of Disaster Avoidance Experts, the future of work consultancy that sponsors the Wise Decision Maker Show. And I'm joined today by Thomas. Thomas, can you please share a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure, absolutely. Hi, everyone. So I'm Thomas. I'm Chief Innovation Officer at Appspace. I spend a lot of time with customers, analysts, understanding the challenges of tomorrow and making sure that we build a platform that can help address those. I've been at Appspace for roughly 12 years. Prior to that, I was
Hmm.
at Cisco as part of the Emerging Technology Group. So I've been in this space for quite a while now.
Excellent. Well, tell me a little bit about how Appspace is using generative AI internally before we get to how you're providing it within to your clients, how you're integrating it into your products. How are you using it internally? How are various teams using it?
So obviously we use AI in multiple functions across the company. Just simply from content creation internally using our own app to engage with
Mhm.
our employee base around the world.
Mhm.
Leverage generative AI to generate the right content, the right
Mhm.
tone, the right imagery that goes with it. We also provide our users the ability to read through the content, but also listen to it. So we use
Mhm.
generative AI for narration. So it's commonly used just from a content creation perspective internally for internal comms. Then obviously the different
Mhm.
teams will use generative AI, whether it's for to create code, to
Mhm.
clean code. So we have a lot of use of AI internally to increase efficiency and productivity and make
Mhm.
sure that we can build cleaner and better products faster. Um, Even our support organization use AI to help them raise the ticket with the right level of documentation and information around the particular issue. So I would say that we're deep into it at every aspect of the organization today.
So, and tell me a little bit more about how you're integrating it into your app for your clients to use.
So we've been working on AI in general and seeding it at the core of the platform for now 2 years.
Mhm.
Um, and the reason we started at a platform level is the Appspace platform is more than a point product. We don't do only one thing. We
Mhm.
do multiple things with Appspace, and therefore seeding it at the core of the platform then allows the different product managers to leverage that AI
Mhm.
into the
Mhm.
particular product that they're managing. The first the first area where we released it with generative AI from a comms perspective. So when you are in the Appspace app or slash intranet, you're able to create a story and ask AI to generate an image that would align to the story based on an
Mhm.
intent. You can ask AI to write the story for you, specify the length, the tone that you want to use, whether it's more
Mhm.
corporate or versus more friendly and more engaging. You really decide that.
Mhm.
And then once you've got your story done, we leverage generative AI to generate a caption. The caption will be used on the news feed, but it will also be used for
Mhm.
digital signage purposes. We generate a summary of the content, and then we leverage AI to generate tagging so that the right
Mhm.
content can reach the right users or the right devices. Because again, when we create
Mhm.
story can be distributed in your app, in a Microsoft Teams channel, or on a digital
Mhm.
sign physical workplace.
Sure.
Once the story is, then the last piece, sorry, that we leverage generative AI that has been out for a while now is translation services.
Mhm.
Uh, and the ability to say, okay, I'm writing my story in English, but I need it in French Canadian, and in German and in Spanish. AI will generate the best possible translation. You'll be
Mhm.
able to proofread it. We'll manage versioning so that we can make sure we can go back in time. And then once the story is published, we automatically generate a narration of the story. What we
Mhm.
realized is a lot of the younger people prefer to consume content in the form of a podcast rather than an article they
Mhm.
would read. And so giving the ability for the user to create a curated playlist of narrated story that they can
Mhm.
listen while they're commuting to the office or going to the gym is a great way to deliver the content leveraging AI in different
Mhm.
forms. So that's today the way, that's how we started with generative AI.
Mhm.
Now what we're introducing is generative AI specifically from a signage perspective. So if you think about a large format display, the way you will display the information on a large format is very different than an article that would be read on your phone or your tablet.
Sure.
And so in this case, we basically generate an intent, and you can just copy paste, or you can just type in an intent. Please help me create a corporate announcement that announces the end of year financial results of the company, and here are the big metrics. Paste it in there. Our generative AI engine will then understand the intent, decompose it, and it will leverage the branding element that exists within the customer's Appspace environment to create the best possible digital sign announcement. It will decide if it's a 2/3, 1/3 layout, if an image is on the left or the right, if it's categorized as, hey, this is annual results, so we're going to put it as a financial update, and then the title is end of year results, and then the caption is a summary of what the numbers are, and we can decide whether or not we're celebrating or we're being more modest. And then once it's generated the card theme, you can view it in portrait and landscape because it's all HTML5 responsive design. So you only create once and then you display it everywhere across the world. It also immediately comes with the languages that you've predefined. So if this content is going to be displayed, for example, in Madrid, it will be in Spanish. If it's in Berlin, it will be in German. And if it's in Quebec, it will be in French Canadian. So automatic translation of the content so that the audience can consume the content in their preferred language. This is huge because in the signage world, this has never been done before. It's the first time that AI steps in to that level of end-to-end experience.
Excellent.
And then the next step for us, which is this quarter, is the ability to be in your app on your phone and say, hey, I want to praise my colleague for an outstanding job. I'm going to ask Appspace Intelligence to help me do that. And I want to praise, for example, Jackie for her outstanding job in managing press relationship in 2024 and getting us ranked high up, whatever. And I will just say that, and then it will generate the praise based on my intent at an app level. That will then be available again in all the different languages, distributed across all our communication channels. So you'll have the post in the app, in Microsoft Teams, in your email inbox. And again, we're looping the thing. That intent that was generated from the app will go through our Appspace Intelligence cards engine for digital signage, and it will run that process through our cards engine that will then deliver to the digital sign. And that kind of closes the loop where content originates wherever you would like, but it goes through the whole AI process.
Excellent. Good. That provides a clear picture of what you're doing internally and externally. I'm curious about how you got here and how you overcoming some of the barriers. Now, from my previous conversations with folks, there tend to be 4 types of barriers, and I'm curious if it resonates with you. One is psychological resistance, both from internally and from your customers about using this technology. Another is technical integration. So integrating generative AI with existing technology can be difficult, again, whether internally or with your customers. Another is structural. How do you create structural governance for generative AI, for all the things that need to be evaluated with generative AI issues? And fourth is risk management, ranging from data privacy and cybersecurity to bias and hallucinations. And again, both internally and externally. So let's start with internally, and let's talk about some of those barriers, and then we can talk about externally. How did you overcome some of those barriers? And if one of the barriers aren't relevant to you, you can say that and skip it.
If I go back, when I started in 1998, I joined Cisco. It was in one of the first company that was providing a laptop to all employees and free internet access in the office and at home. At the time, many more traditional organizations were worried about this. There was a risk in giving limited internet access, but eventually trying to fight it was a lost battle. There was no way you were ever going to stop internet from spreading out. I think AI is the same thing. As a corporation, you can try stopping your employees from using AI internally, but they're already using it on their BYOD. They're already using it at home, and all that AI content is coming into your organization, whether you like it or not. So you might as well embrace it and make sure that you provide some control to it rather than almost motivating employees to find a workaround through something that's outside of your control. I think that message is coming through now. I think we're seeing more and more internally and externally. I mean, internally, we didn't have resistance, so I can't really talk to that. We're a very forward-thinking organization, and we believe in transparency and access to tech. In large corporations, we saw a lot of resistance a year ago, but we're now seeing pretty much every company has an AI initiative, in AI strategy, and I think that's perfect. So I think the market is maturing around this. But I do believe that being able to talk about a tool that has been approved by IT and security that you're already using and leveraging AI within that tool with the governance that you need will provide more security for the organization. And therefore that plays into the right model there. A lot of our customers have started using or started their own AI initiative, whether leveraging OpenAI or something else. And what we're allowing them is to plug in their model into Appspace. So when we talked about the digital signage card engine, you can leverage our models that we build and we provide, or you can plug in your own model, in which case you control your own AI engine. We're just going to be plugging into it to drive the experience that we want to deliver from a signage perspective. I think this gives a lot of feeling of security and control for large organizations, and it plays perfectly well with the approach we've had. In any case, from the beginning, AI came with, you have a kill switch, so you can totally turn it off. You can enable who has access to AI, but whatever is available in AI is limited to your Appspace tenant in your organization. Nothing goes out. So there is no risk of that information being used to improve the product efficiency or to improve customer experiences outside of your organization. None of that happens. And this is why plugging into a customer model is something easy to do, because in any case, we are restricting this to the customer's environment.
What about issues around things like security and hallucinations and bias? How have you seen those issues be dealt with?
Again, I think it ties down to where the customer is in their journey. If they've started building their own model, then there is very little fear, because we're going to plug into their model and they understand, they keep the control. For organization who hasn't started down that journey, there's maybe a little bit more fear. The fact that we're always trying to leverage industry standard AI models out there, whether it's from Microsoft or Google or others, I think is a good thing for a lot of companies. So if you're a Microsoft customer and you've been living and breathing Microsoft, then we're going to really leverage the Microsoft AI stack support, and I think that addresses that. Now, I mean, when we started our journey back in the days and we said we're going to give every employee an app on their phone and they're going to be able to communicate and have all the comms on there, we had the same fear from security around information being shared outside of the organization, and we had to go through the certification and we had to go through the security in-depth assessment. I think we just keep doing the same thing again and again. We meet with customers, understand what they need to know, and we make sure that we provide them all the security testing they need and access to all the information they require.
Now, an important aspect of generative AI is that it's continually improving and changing and adapting. How do you internally and with your customers make sure that people continue learning about this topic? How do you handle that aspect of things?
I think it's a great question, and it's funny because you didn't say how do you continue educating AI, which a lot of people think they're doing. User needs to get better at using AI. It's not AI who's going to learn from you. So I think there's a big misperception in the market that you're educating your AI engine. No, you're educating your users. Your AI engine is getting better because of the technology behind. I mean, we've always provided customer training on how to use Appspace to the best of its ability to leverage the best content, more engaging content, whether it's in the app on a digital sign. Our practice has evolved now where part of the training is focused on how do you leverage AI to do that? How do you create your best intents? And then when you get a great result, how do you save that result? Don't start from scratch every single time. Save it so that next time you're going to do something very similar, you can call on that and start from there instead of starting from scratch. And that keeps getting better. It's also making sure that the more you can provide the AI engine, the more information you can provide the AI engine, the better it is. In the signage world, for example, providing your logos, in the different, in black and white, in color, your fonts, and understanding what font is used for a title or an article, leveraging your color palette and in educating the engine to pick up on the right color elements. That helps a lot. And so there's some groundwork that needs to be done in providing the AI engine all the information it needs to be able to provide the best. We even give the customer the ability to leverage their own voice. So if you're using narration, there's a default Appspace intelligence voice, but maybe your company now has its voice and maybe you want to use that voice for narration. So just give that information so that the AI engine knows it needs to be calling on that voice for that type of communication that it's publishing. So I think it's really, on one side, it's providing the right tool set so that you can provide the right information to your AI engine. And the other is training the user on how to create the best intents, when to use AI or not. Image generation is the trickiest of all right now. A lot of the images don't look super corporate. So why not use AI to look for images in a database of images that you have access rights to, and help you find that image rather than creating an image from scratch that addresses a lot of the risk of having an image that doesn't align to your corporate guidelines. I think this is where there's a lot of education that we transfer to customers when they onboard Appspace.
Let's talk about the process of how customer introduction to generative AI takes place. Let's say you're introducing Appspace to them. Like, what usually happens? They're a pilot project, and then how does it get rolled out? Like, what are the steps in how customers learn how to use generative AI? What kind of metrics are there? How do they make sure that they're getting return on investment from the value that they're investing into using Appspace or any other tool that deploys generative AI? Walk me through an implementation.
Well, I would say the first thing is we have a lot of different buyers in an organization, because you can leverage generative AI to create a story, a digital signage post, a praise, an event, but you can also leverage generative AI to help you generate a meeting invite and invite the right people, find the right meeting resource, because we do both workplace communication and workplace management. So when we enabled AI to Appspace, by default, it's off. A customer is then contacted to let them know that they have access to AI now, and they can decide to turn it on. When they decide to turn AI on, they can decide if they turn AI to everyone across the whole platform, or whether they maybe turn on AI only for workplace management or only workplace comm, and only to pilot users. Most of our customers start with a pilot, like anything. I mean, it's very rare that you go for a large-scale deployment before testing and understanding the limits, the capabilities. So most of our customers will run a pilot, and from that pilot, create their own playbook. And interestingly enough, we're seeing a lot of customers who will use our AI to create their playbook. So as they learn, they'll use generative AI to use that information and to format it, and then they'll create a page that will be distributed to the right key stakeholders, saying, hey, you now have access to AI, and here is a step-by-step instruction on how you start using it. And that's available as a narrated file as well. So you can imagine the journey where it started with a pilot to evaluate the technology, and now that I understand how I can use it, I actually use it to educate the wider organization so they can adopt it. That becomes extremely exciting, because it's just the speed at which you're enabling user adoption is just amazing. While in the past, that would take a lot of time for a company to go from pilot to scale deployment, because that whole process was done on their own. They didn't have any assistance.
Excellent. And how do you address problems that clients run into? What are the typical problems, and how do you address them with generative AI deployment?
I think the thing is, and you mentioned it earlier, educating the users and understanding how creative the users are going to be using AI. I mean, AI is full of untouched potential, but the human being is even more untouched potential. And it's amazing to see how our customers find a way to use AI to do something that we had not thought about. And I remember it was the same with our product without AI. You know, we have a whole space reservation where you can book a desk, book a room, book a huddle space. And one of the largest logistics companies in the world thought, well, if I can book a desk, book a room, book a huddle space, can I book a shuttle service and maybe select the front seat of the shuttle to go from point A to point B? And one day they got us on a call and say, hey, look, we've deployed this and we're using this all across Europe to allow employees to go from one building to the other. And we were like, so creative. And I think with AI, we're seeing the same thing. We're getting a lot of customers reaching out to tell us, hey, could you help us use AI to do this? And we had never thought of a use case like this. I see this with my kids every day. They use GPT or Claude.ai or other. I mean, they're far more sophisticated than I am in the intents and how deep they realize that there is unlimited potential there. So it's understanding how creative our customers are going to be with the product. That is the most exciting to us in terms of how far can we go and how more value can we bring other than the one that is obvious to everyone that we have started building.
Excellent. As we wrap up, what do you think will be the future of generative AI in the next couple of years within Appspace? What are you thinking about? I assume you can tell me that you're working on video as well as audio. Maybe some agents. Tell me what you're working on and what you think will be the near-term future.
I mean, the thing is, and I think you said it right, it's the near-term future because we can't think too far out. There's so much that can be done short-term. So one of the big feature that we're presenting to our customers right now and getting their feedback is live video streams. Being able to do big company events and having people join from any source, but not just to view the video, having the video enriched with AI so that you have subtitles or captions in your preferred language or even live audio translation that are flying. The fact that we already do narration and that, then it's just a question of using that same AI with the ability to do live narration so that you can listen to the content. I think just there's something about consuming content. So there's creating content, but there's consuming content. And we had to talk to our audience. Although more and more people speak English, it is still easier for each individual to consume content in their mother language, right? And so being able to deliver that and make it so native to the corporation that every employee can tune in from anywhere and consume the content in their preferred language with no friction is making sure that the message they are trying to pass is as effective as possible. So I think there's a lot there that we're still doing around live video. Of course, I've mentioned a big challenge still around the image gen and the quality of image gen. It's progressing rapidly, but I would say if I was a Fortune 500 company, I would still be concerned around using full image generation. So I think video is just behind there. Once image generation is really 100% corporate compliant, video will come next. Animations, you know, when we're talking about content on the phone, animation is not as critical, but when you're talking about a large format display in the lobby and you have a very short attention span from a user coming by, able to have exciting animation is really powerful. And we do that through the card editor, where we can generate animated background that will capture the user attention. But again, we're just getting started there. That's huge. I think what I get most excited is when you're starting to connect the dots. If I know that, for example, you're coming in the office today, and I know where you're going to be sitting in the office because you booked your desk through Appspace, and there's content that is being displayed at your desk or on a digital sign nearby, how can I make that content targeted to you as an individual? how can I make sure that I have it in the right content, that I use the tone that I know works best for you to be attracted by that content and most relevant. You know, we've done this through algorithms for years. Now it's this idea that all of this is dynamic and AI is there understanding what's happening, who's going to be there, why are they there for, what content is scheduled to be there at that time, and how do I make sure that I think that's, I mean, that's going to be so much fun. It's almost what social media networks were 15 or 20 years ago, when people would log in and have all this curated content for them based on algorithms, except this time it's understanding the concept of the physical location, you as a user, what you're there to do, and then leveraging AI to wrap up the whole thing to deliver the best experience. I think that's, I mean, there, we have no idea how far we can go there, but it's certainly exciting.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for sharing your expertise, Thomas. This was very helpful.
Well, thanks for your time. I appreciate it. Take care.